It's week 18, started today. I said I was done with this. I said I was done talking about this. I wanted to leave all of this back in week 17. But Dan Skipper finally spoke to the media about what happened on Saturday. And I feel like I would be doing a disservice to Dan Skipper, the guy that's been accused of basically ruining such a great play, if I don't bring this up. So you can tell that the Detroit Lions are livid. Dan Campbell, it seems like after 3 years of going through certain things with the Detroit Lions, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. He seems like a completely different coach. A lot of the nice guyness is gone. You can see the Detroit Lions locker room still feeling some type of way. Jared Goff, Penei Sewell, Hutch, Aleem McNeil, these guys are feeling some type of way. And I feel sorry for the Minnesota Vikings, but not really. But Dan Skipper has probably no doubt heard a lot from Lions fans, good and bad, this past couple of days. And I feel like it's only right to conclude this thing, hopefully, with what he had to say. Now, the NFL, I made this video last night, but I just didn't feel like talking about it anymore. So I didn't release it. But the NFL let out a training video using Dan Skipper and that whole situation as a teaching point for the rest of the NFL. And they sent it to teams what to do and what not to do, how to report as eligible. They used Dan Skipper, and Dan Skipper's like, wait a minute, I saw the video and that ain't gonna fly. Okay. So this is what he told a small group of reporters. I'm assuming this is today, regarding what happened Saturday. Said, so personnel you signal in. Skipper told a small group of reporters, I wasn't like this, wiping my number. So he was doing the signal. I was not doing that. I was doing this, holding one arm up and another by my stomach with 2 fingers out, signaling 12 jumbo. Everyone who's played at this level, I'm sure all you guys know that you signal in personnel. And now what we're going to do is we are going to check out this video from that the NFL decided to use to basically, I mean, the NFL it just keep getting more shady and more shady. But here's the video. I'm going to let it play in its entirety because I think it'll be better to let it play once, and then we'll talk about what the rest of what Dan Skipper had to say. So here is the video that the NFL sent to teams regarding how to report as eligible.
As a reminder to clubs and players, an offensive player numbered 50 through 79 or 90 through 99 is permitted to line up as an eligible pass receiver. To allow the defense an opportunity to match personnel to avoid deception and to ensure fairness, the player must immediately report the change in his eligibility status to the referee, who will inform the defensive team and will make an announcement to the stadium before that play. It is the responsibility of the player to be sure that change in status is clearly communicated to the referee by both a physical signal with his hands up and down in front of his chest and to report to the referee his intention to report as an eligible receiver. Any player reporting as eligible must line up initially and remain in an eligible position. Failure to do so, or if he is covered up by another player, will result in an illegal formation. Should the reporting player elect to remain in the game for an additional play, he must repeat the same reporting process to the referee, and before each additional play, the referee will inform the defensive team. This process has been in place for many years and is intended to provide proper notification to the defense when players are lined up in positions that their number would not allow.
So you can see there that the NFL, they basically put Dan Skipper to be the bad guy. They went by what Brad Allen had to say, and they just kept saying, making it about Dan Skipper when Dan is like, that's not what happened at all. Anyway, so we can go down that whole thing, but this is more about, so you see that they put that and they use that whole thing about being eligible, what makes him ineligible. It was illegal formation. That's because he never reported as an eligible receiver. But I'm like, I just hated how they're picking on Dan Skipper, who did exactly what he was supposed to do. Okay, so we watched the video in its entirety. Well, what did What did Dan Skipper have to say about that? Here we go. Says typically you have to go up to the official and very directly tell him you are reporting. Skipper said, you can watch it all year. You can watch the first quarter, play 4. And granted, I only did it once during the game this week. So the multiple times throughout the game, also not true, but we'll leave it there. But when you walk up, you say, sir, I am reporting as eligible. So Dan Skipper basically called out the refs for lying. Okay. He said it didn't happen. They said it did, but we knew this already. We knew this had been the case, right? So Dan, he continues to say this. It's not like 5 yards. Take a left turn thing. Skipper said of the reporting process. I've gotten that penalty before. Y'all can find that one. That was a similar situation where you're reporting and don't tell the referee. I am reporting as eligible. But that's how it is. That's how it goes. Y'all can watch it all season. It's clear as you know what, you walk up. So Dan Campbell was asked about the video today, and Dan is furious. He is upset, and he is not trying to hear anything about it. But I love that the city of Detroit, I think I watched Let's Talk Lions, and he was saying on 12 Mile and 75, which is odd because I just traveled there the other day. They got a billboard that says Decker reported as eligible. So that is kind of cool. But Dan Skipper, like I said, Taylor Decker's the one that caught the pass, but Dan Skipper is getting all the blame. Here's what he had to say about moving forward when it comes to that whole thing. I mean, you know what? You can't sit here and wallow in the past, he said. It's been 30 contracts. Like, if it was egregious, it would have got my behind cut. You screw up egregiously enough, you get fired. So for me not to get fired, it wasn't that bad on my end. So let's move along. So basically, these guys can't really say anything. And Dan Skipper is a guy that he was here with the team last year. He got his first start and we wind up winning a game. We released him. He signed with the Indianapolis Colts practice squad. I think he played some of the preseason there. And then we went back to get him. And he's played a critical piece on our team. I wouldn't be upset if we gave him some type of, decent 1 or 2 year contract. I'm not going to lie. But Dan Skipper has been that guy where he just comes up and he does exactly what he's supposed to do. And you'll see a picture of him. I've never seen Dan Skipper upset. I've never seen Coach Campbell that upset as well. He was livid. He kept saying, I told you. And it's that look where you say, you looking like this. We all got that look before, like, hey, one of those looks, right? I told you. Don't you do this. I told you, right? Dan Skipper looked the same way. NFL this thing is so out of control that they're scrounging. And I love how they picked on Dan Skipper. They just kept picking on him. But Dan Skipper is like, we need to move on. And if it was that bad, listen, I've had 30 contracts. You think if I messed up, I would still be on this team? I would have been fired. Something that Brad Allen does not have to deal with. He got demoted. So him and his crew. You know who I feel bad for? The rest of the crew. Maybe the rest, because they can't make the ultimate decision. Brad made that decision. And Sarah Thompson, she's a good ref. It's probably other good refs on that crew. Okay, not all refs are the same. So this is Brad. But it was a tidbit that was brought to my attention that the Detroit Lions heading into this game were 0-5 in games that Brad's crew officiated. And now that same crew will be doing the Pittsburgh Steelers game. They need to win to have a chance to get into the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. But shout out to Dan Skipper for not backing down, saying what he had to say. And I think now we can officially move on. But like I said, I wanted to make sure I gave Dan the love that he deserved because he deserves it. He deserves it. He said that there's been some keyboard warriors, on Twitter saying not so nice things. When if these guys, sometimes fans can be so dumb. And Dan Skipper did exactly what he was supposed to do. I'm not going to blame Dan because the play doesn't make sense. These guys have been doing this for a long time. And you can go back to the video and watch it. And of course, how would Dan Skipper report as eligible and then be covered up on the line? But if you look on Taylor Decker's side, then Josh Reynolds is off the line. So he's not covering up Decker, who was the eligible receiver. Anyway, maybe we can finally put this thing to rest. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. Maybe we can officially move on to week 18.